Alright, hello, I am Adam Otero. It is November 11th, 2010. We were at the Boys and Girls Club in Bristol, Connecticut. Assisting me in the interview is the Keystone Club of Bristol. This interview is being conducted for the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress. Here with me is Joe Caminiti, born October 13th, 1924, a member of the Bristol Boys and Girls Club and an honored World War II veteran. His branch was the 3rd Amphibian Battalion. His highest rank was a staff sergeant during the war, and he fought in both Guam and Iwo Jima. Now, Joe, how was your experiences in the war? Can you give us a time in the war that you remember the most, or that was most significant to you?
You mean like when I went in and all stuff like that?
Yeah, like in Guam or Iwo Jima.
Oh, you don't want to talk about when I first went into service, what happened, and all that stuff like that?
Well, yeah, if you want to, talk about that too, that'd be fine.
It went in 1942. That's when I joined the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And then from the Marine Corps, they sent us down to Parris Island, South Carolina for our basic training, and then 4 weeks rifle range.
Mm-hmm.
From there, we went to Camp Lejeune. And from Camp Lejeune, they interview for what your experiences are, what you can do, and stuff like that. They sent me to auto mechanic school, and I stayed there for a while, which was a 3-month school. And from there, we went to Camp Linda Vista, California. California, we waited to get on a transport, and we went to New Caledonia. It took us 19 days on the ship. All right. Got into New Caledonia, and there it's like a replacement. They replace veterans coming from, they got wounded and stuff like that, and they go back home, and we replace those people there. Now, I was in motor transport. Now, when we got down there, they shipped us to Guadalcanal, where the Terran amphibian tractor was. Now, we never saw an amphibian tractor. We were in motor transport. But if you're familiar with the island Tarawa, they fouled up on the landing there, when they made a landing there, because the boats could only go so far in, they fouled up on the tide. They couldn't go over the coral reef, and all the poor Marines had to wade through, and they were getting shot like shooting ducks. They were really going down. So now, anybody had anything to do with motor transport, they put them in amphibian tractors, and that's how we started amphibian tractors. And now, any landings that was made, first 10 waves, or salt waves, they call them, is all amphibian tractors. Anytime you see a movie, it's always like boats, like a Higgin boat, which you put the ramp there, but that's not true. It's done with amphibian tractors first. And then they carry in the troops, they land them, and that's where that's what we do.
Oh, okay. So when you transported the troops, you headed back to
pick up more.
Yeah, to pick up more than so you were
or
basically
supplies.
Yeah.
Ammunition.
Yeah.
Or when we got on the island, we carried this and that, wherever they sign it to,
Wow.
Whatever they signed us to, that's what we did.
Yeah. So were you faced with dangers, back and forth, getting troops with, from other.
We were getting shot out of the water. I'll give you one example. What faith is. We had a kid who was with us. He had charge of a tractor, and when we were in the Marshall Islands waiting to go to Guam, he got appendicitis. They took him off the ship, put him on a hospital ship, and we left. But when we got close to there, in the South Pacific, you can tell the direction you're going in by the Southern Cross. And all of a sudden, we woke up the next morning, we're going back that way. So what happened is, they were already on Saipan, and they found out that they had to shell Guam a little bit more. So we had to go back to the Marshall Islands again. So we get back to the Marshall Islands, dock, and lo and behold, and there's the kid there, waiting to come back on the boat again. Mm-hmm. So they assigned him back to his tractor. Now, when we made the landing on Guam, I was following him. Mm-hmm. We got on the beach, he unloaded the troops, we were coming back out, he's in front of it, he hit a kettle mine. A kettle mine, blew that tractor, smithereens, and that poor guy died with our 2 guys. Lucky he was there when the troops were in there, So that's what you call faith. The kid could have stayed, without coming back on the ship, Yeah. He could have stayed in the rear a little bit longer, but
Wow. Sorry to hear that. So, do you have any other family members that were in the service with you at the time, or?
Well, let's see. In Iwo Jima, I had the 10th wave in Iwo Jima. In Iwo Jima, we landed right near that mountain over there, Mount Sorbashi. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And there were 10 waves. I was in the 10th wave on that one. And the waves were coming in, they couldn't unload them quickly enough. And some of the waves we had to unload in the water. So the tractor took on water. So when the tractor takes on water, you can't steer it. So we had to get towed to an LST. And an LST, we just took out the pontoon plugs and the water came out. And then the guy said, they're calling for 80 millimeter mortars on the shore. You've got to take a load in. I said, we're not belong there. We got to go with another LST. No, that's what you got to do. So back in I go. Get on the shore over there. And the liaison officer said, what are you doing here? They said, they're calling for an ammunition. So here we are. So he assigned some guy with us, told us where to bring it. The tractor stalled from taking water on. That guy jumped and disappeared where he went. So we just threw everything off the tractor. And I got back there and emptied a carburetor bowl off with water in it. I said, come on, start. So I started, and back out we went on the water.
Oh, wow.
And then that night, lucky we got back on that ship, the tractor ran out of gas, just as it was on the ramp. And it just rolled back, And so we were all right that night. And we went back out to sea. The next day, we did the same thing. Third day, we had to stay on the island, And then nothing will move on the island. We were supposed to stay there for 3 days, and there was that volcanic ash, and no trucks or anything could move on it until they laid the steel mesh down, make like a road or something like that. And so instead of staying there for 3 days, we were there for 30 days, all right, before we got back. And the reason they took Iwo Jima, I don't know if Iwo Jima is an island 750 miles from Japan. And when they're making the bombing runs with the B-29s, they were getting shot out over Tokyo or wherever they were going, and they couldn't make it back. So they needed an airstrip, so they had to take Iwo Jima. That's why that island was so important. And the third day I was down there, the B-29 landed there, and they skidded off there. And they figured, because we lost 6,000 Marines on that island, but they figured they saved 26,000 airmen on there by taking that island. So that's what I got.
Okay. Did you have any other specialized training besides being a mechanic and driving tractors, or?
Every Marine's got to go through, like infantry courses.
Yeah.
That's you got to do.
Were you ever faced with an infantry task, or?
No, we just stay with tractors. That's all we ever did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just for backup and just in case
well,
you need
at night,
a type of thing.
you would stay on the shore, but then that night you had to go up into the line. You had to keep your, like they call it, third defense. Instead of trying to get through the lines, we'd be there.
Okay, like duty type of thing. Okay.
And another kid, poor kid there, we came off the line with it one night, and on Guam, he jumped off the tractor and hit an aerial mine. And what was left of him was nothing left. And those Japanese didn't have any more planes, so they were using the aerial bombs with a 30-pound fuse on it, 300-pound fuse, I thought. And if you went over with a tank or a tractor, it would blow,
Wow.
They used them as a landmine, That's another, you can't remember all those things.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So, during the 30 days you were on the island, what'd you do, to pass time, really? Were you working?
We were assigned, we had to do something every day.
Yeah.
They would assign us to a grave detachment, where they pick up the person that died, take them to the cemetery. And we unload some ships, and then, as you know, that flag, I don't know if you remember that flag they put up there, which is the monument in Iwo Jima. The monument, they have it like in Washington. Well, we were on the airstrip when they put that up, not knowing there was going to be we just looked there and said, boy, the flag went up, and not knowing eventually it's going to be an historical thing, in which it still is,
Wow. Oh, sweet.
And then that's all we did. We if somebody was, they thought we were tanks at times. We have to go into the bush or somewhere where a sniper was there or something, and pick up somebody who was wounded or something like that, and stuff like that,
So for recreation,
No recreation.
no
there.
recreation.
No, no recreation there.
Oh, all right.
You just at night you're in the foxhole,
Yeah. Okay. I get you. Now, any friendships during the island that you still remember today?
Friendships.
Yeah.
You mean people we knew?
Yeah.
Oh,
You.
yeah, we have we used to have a reunion every year, different towns throughout the country,
Mhm.
and eventually people kept dying off,
Mhm.
and we don't have them anymore because there isn't that many around anymore.
Mhm.
They're like World War II veterans dying off like 1,500, 2,000 a month, so they eventually stopped it. I used to like that though. We went for about 10, 11 years. We went to all over our country.
Yeah. You were talking about going to Hawaii. Now, how was the experience going from Iwo Jima to
To Hawaii?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, when we were kids, we used to read the history books, and you would see like the girls with the hula skirts doing like stuff like that, So we were going from island to island. They said, "Where's all this? Where's all these girls with the hula skirts?" So then eventually we got back to Hawaii, and we got the field glasses, and we looked, and there's a whole pile of them on the beach, and we landed in Maui. But the Chamber of Commerce in Hawaii put them out there. Welcome home, 4th Marine Division.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Wow.
So that was that.
That must have been a treat, huh?
It was cool, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Now, your experiences in Hawaii. Now, how long were you in
We were
Hawaii?
in Hawaii about 6 months.
Okay.
We got back there. Let's see. We left Iwo Jima in March, end of March, and then we went back to Hawaii, and then we were there till we drew all new equipment. We were going to land in Japan. They were getting ready to make that big land in Japan, but the war ended, and we came back.
Okay. Now, any special duties in Hawaii? Were you still
Oh, no, we
truck
had the same
mechanic?
thing. We just drew all new equipment, and we do exercises.
Okay.
We were stationed on the beach, and you have to go in the water with
Okay.
the tractor. And
Yeah.
these tractors are always put on an LST. You know what an LST is?
No, I'm not
Landing
sure.
ship track. And the bow opens up like this.
Okay.
Tank goes down, and then you go into the water. If you ever see movies on it,
Okay.
you might notice them.
Yeah. Now you were talking about now the tractors go in first. Whenever you're in battle or something, you always see the tractors. You don't
First
see
10
the
waves
tanks.
are assault waves,
Yeah.
because most of those islands have coral reef around.
Yeah.
And if you don't hit it when the tide is up, you're not going to go over with a boat,
Mhm.
So but the tractor moves over the coral and into the land, which is better for it because you land right on the beach,
Yeah. So it basically paves a path for the rest of your.
Right.
Okay. Now, after the war, how was your experiences coming back home? You remember?
It just we had to take a train from California. We camped Pendleton, California,
Yeah.
and a train took us all the way to Bainbridge, Maryland. Got discharged in Home Beach.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a big, probably huge ceremony when you came back home and saw family and stuff, or.
The biggest ceremony we had was when we went to Washington in September.
Oh yeah.
They took us to Washington for free. American Warriors, they call it, the organization.
Yeah.
And there was 102 of us World War II veterans on there.
Yeah.
44 guardians that took care of anybody who couldn't walk or was in a wheelchair, and 2 doctors. And we went to Washington. They showed us all the monuments, and they gave us a good time. And they had a band playing when we got off the plane and everything else.
How was the train ride? Elaborate.
So,
The train ride back home
train ride back
to
home.
California.
Yeah, well, some people had to ride in a troop, what they call a troop car, 6 stacked high, and we were lucky we got in a compartment.
Oh.
So it wasn't bad.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. Now, readjusting when you were back home. Did you face any hardships?
No, we started collecting that 2020 club. They call it. We get like $20 a week or something like that. And then I finally got a job in a shoe store. Mine shoe store on Main Street. You're not familiar with that. They're not here no more. And from there, I got a job with General Motors up the hill. And that's where I ended. When I hit 62, I quit. I retired. That was 1986.
Okay. Now, going back to the war, Guam, Iwo Jima, how did you keep in touch with family members? Or
we wrote letters. We get letters back and forth.
Yeah.
Even on New Caledonia, I still got a postcard I sent to my sister from New Caledonia, airmail, like 6 cents or something, those days. I still have that yet,
Now, it was very secure though. They would,
Well, you had to get all the mail had to be censored.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, can you tell us any experiences of action in Guam that you had experiences? Because we were talking about Iwo Jima before.
Yeah.
Well,
and, Guam actually is our first island that we took back that belonged to us, the United States. During the war. And it was. I mean, what else can I tell you?
I mean, any significant event that you maybe experienced, maybe something,
No, when we got through with the island, securing the island, they told us this is going to be your area. You're going to build a camp here, and this is where we did.
Okay.
And that camp, funny, but they had about 1,000 bullfrogs over there, and we had to kill them with a shovel, to clear the area, But then we built a nice camp there. It was a nice camp, and the B-29 strip was right above us. They took off every day to go to bomb Japan, But we stayed there for a while until we got to go to Iwo Jima after that. It was the next operation.
Now, Guam was safe from combat, right? Or did you still have to face, threats coming in?
Like what?
When you built your base there,
Yeah.
did you still face threats during your stay in Guam?
No, it was pretty well secured then. The Japanese they tried, bombers a couple of times, but they just knocked them out of the air. That's all.
Okay. That's pretty good.
But we did shoot one of our own planes down over there when we were making a landing on Guam. That was he zoomed over a convoy early in the morning. And some of those Navy guys, and down it went. The TPF.
Wow. Pretty fast-paced combat.
It was when we were going into Guam. The morning of the operation, he came in over the convoy to flip his wings, and victory salute they call it. And the Navy guys got a little excited and started shooting.
Oh wow!
And down they went.
Okay. I mean, you still keep in contact with some of the war veterans that you fought with. You were talking about.
There's not too many left anymore.
Yeah.
Maya, I have one in down in Florida. I had a few that we still keep. One in Alaska. I haven't heard from him in a while. And then I got a letter from his daughter saying that he passed away. Another one down in Florida, he passed away. But I did about maybe 4 or 5 I still keep in contact with.
Okay.
In fact, there's one lives in Sunnyton.
Oh.
I still keep in contact with him.
Was he in your branch?
Yeah,
or?
yeah. Oh, yeah. He was in that picture right there. Benwell, Sergeant Benwell, he was.
Oh, okay.
No. The one with all the. No, the ones would be kneeling down. That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh wow.
He was standing up in the back. Benwell, I got him marked there.
Wow. Any life lessons from the military that you can, share with us?
Like the lessons you talking about?
Yeah, like stuff you learned in the war and that helps you now today. Any lessons you learned?
Well, I learned auto mechanics, electricity, stuff like that. I can do a lot of things that that I don't have to call a maintenance man to do.
Yeah.
Fix a light switch or this and that, or run a wire to someplace, or fool around. But cars nowadays, you can't fool them no more. You got to send them to the dealer. But the old cars, we could fix those, but not no more now. You can't do it no more.
Yeah. Now, about that, the lessons that you learned that maybe, for example, I learned, that war is a scary place type of thing. So
War,
like
war is very bad, but I mean, we had to do our patriotic duty, in those days. When they bombed us, when they bombed us like that on December 7th, 1941 over there, and we were all kids and we were all gung ho, we're going to go in there, we're going to, take care of them and all that stuff. And that's what we did. And I'm just thankful that I got back home safe and sound and did my duty, did what I had to do, and that was it. Just I was lucky. That's all.
Yeah.
There was people dying around you, but it just so happened it wasn't your turn.
Did that affect you
No.
in life,
No.
or?
No.
No.
No, didn't bother. Just a long time ago.
Yeah,
You know.
I understand. So, so you said there was no recreation when you were out there.
Not when you're in combat. There's no recreation in combat.
No, but like, let's say in Guam, there was no
Oh
threats.
yeah, well Guam. Then we had USO shows used to come. Like different stars. Betty Houghton, for instance, or Ray Milland. He was a movie actor. Another comedian. I forgot what his name was. And but that's the recreation we had. That's all. Or you play ball or stuff like that. And then that's where the outdoor movie came in its own. We used to have the coconut logs there spread out in the outdoor theater, and we all sat down and watched the movies at night. That was our recreation. And then they would give us either a case of beer or a case of soda, which one you wanted.
Yeah.
But naturally, there was no refrigeration, so the beer was out unless you kept it in the water someplace.
Yeah. Must have been a luxury to have beer or something that
yeah.
they have.
Well, even the water, they used to have a Lister bag, and it had a bad taste. It had the chemicals in it, so you wouldn't get infected with it. So we used to go to chow. They used to give us like grapefruit juice, had ice, at least had a little ice in it. Eventually, they got some ice in it. They got some refrigeration in, and then we were all right.
Okay. Now, during your training there, and I have a relative that was in the war, and he told me that during those situations, everything's fast-paced. Like you had to wake up early, you had to train fast, you had to take a shower fast, eat fast. How was that?
Main thing with boot camp.
Yeah,
is
boot camp type
discipline.
Of thing. Yeah.
That's what they teach you: discipline, how to obey orders. And if you keep your mouth shut and don't be a wise guy, you go right through it and without any trouble, and you learn, right? And that's the main thing with that. That's the trouble. A lot of these kids these days, they don't have that, the discipline, that what they do in there. But it was good. I didn't mind it at all. We had a good time there, actually.
How long does boot camp usually last?
Boot camp was 8 weeks.
Okay.
But then they shortened it to 5 because they needed guys, overseas. And 3 weeks in a rifle range where you fired all the weapons they have and stuff like that.
Now, they drafted you right after boot camp, or did you go back home for?
I had one. No, I had a week leave before I went over. When I was still in not New Caledonia, Camp Pendleton. Not Pendleton. You know what I'm talking about. It was Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
In North Carolina.
Okay, and you had a week at home before you were.
Before I went overseas.
Any last things? You remember what you did last before you were deployed, or?
No, they wouldn't tell you where you were going until almost you're on the ship and you're going, because they didn't want they wanted to leak out where you were going. They would pick up the information, the Japanese, that we were going to hit that island, But no, that's it.
Okay. Now, I mean, you have any siblings or family members?
And they were,
Siblings or
oh yeah, I had 3 kids, and 2 grandchildren, and they got kids,
yeah.
so life went on. That's the cycle.
Any of them are interested in being in the war in the
I don't
military
think
like you
so.
are? Or?
I don't think so. They don't like the service.
No.
Uh,
All right.
I think they're getting too old for the service now anyway.
Yeah.
They want the kids 18 and
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
and when you're in like 30, 40, 50, they don't want you anymore.
Mm. Now, how was the draft back then?
I wasn't drafted. I joined.
Oh, you just joined?
I joined. I was 17, so I joined
Yeah.
before they drafted me. This way
Yeah.
I could pick where I want to go,
Yeah. Now, was the draft back then like if you were in school, then you're safe from the draft, and if you were not in school, then you were eligible to be
Well,
drafted back then?
Everybody had to sign up when you were 18. You had to sign up, no matter where you were. But they
Okay.
wouldn't take you if you were still in school,
Mm-hmm.
But I was in third year high school, but I got out.
Mm.
And then they finally gave me my diploma a few
Okay.
years back.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh, you finished school in the military,
No,
right?
They just
Oh, no.
they just gave me just to say you finished high school.
Oh, okay.
No, I never finished school in high school.
Now you had to serve a certain amount of years, 2 years or 4 years.
No, when we went in that time, they put you in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve, they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And you, whatever the length of the war was, that's what you stayed.
Mm-hmm.
Then we stayed from 1942 to 45,
Mm-hmm.
the end of 45. And then I told you, I got called back in 1950, and I had to stay 13 months, and I got on 51.
Okay.
But then I was married and had a kid then, but I didn't want to really want to stay then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, now, the social life during the military camps and all that, pretty well. Food, barracks, all that.
No, we all got along pretty good. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And where else would I seen the whole Pacific if I didn't go to service?
Mm-hmm.
It was like a cruise ship.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of ships.
Yeah.
And from one end from South Pacific, from New Caledonia, which is near Australia, all the way up to Iwo Jima,
Mm-hmm.
and back to Hawaii. One island after the other.
Mm-hmm.
You see them all, but one island you see one, they're all the same. Not any different.
Yeah.
Coconut trees and islands,
Mm-hmm.
Not like it is now. It's all built up now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, when you were down in Hiroshima, going back, were you in touch with the civilians there? Were some of them at the base for protection, or
In Iwo Jima?
yeah, or in
There
Guam,
was
or
no civilian in Iwo Jima.
no?
There was all the Japanese there. They bombed that island for 66 days, and shelled it for 66 days, and didn't do nothing to that island. They could go anywhere 40 feet down. Anywhere in the island, they could go through caves, and didn't touch it with all the bombers. The only way you could get them is you had to go in there, foot soldier, and bomb out the caves, in and out. Ships were bombing them and everything like that. And they had a 240 millimeter mortar on there. They were pretty well advanced technology, and it stood about that high with a big warhead like this. But they have to fire it electrically, like a rocket, like.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so big. The island was only 5 miles long, 2.5 miles wide. At the widest point. And they would fire it, and it would go over the island. It would sound like a freight train coming.
Mm-hmm.
But once it landed on an island, somebody was going to die because it made a big crater.
Oh, wow.
Because they had so many troops down there.
Mm-hmm. Now, you were alerted of if there was any shells or mortars coming your way.
Well, you could
to
hear
evacuate.
You can hear them. You got to get in the hole. You hear them.
Oh yeah.
Like on Guam, we lost that captain. He got hit
Mm-hmm.
coming into Guam when we landed on Guam,
Yeah.
and he got hit there, and they took him out, put him in a foxhole, and the mortar landed in a foxhole where he was, and
Mm-hmm.
he got killed, and they named the camp after him.
Mhm.
On Guam, Camp Mills.
Okay. All right. Now, I see that you bought some photos with us. Would you care to share any of them?
Whatever you want to do.
All right. Um, there you go.
What I got left of them.
Yeah. You know, yeah, just explain what happened in the photo and elaborate.
This is the camp. They're named after the captain, Cam Mills. It's, in fact, I think it's photo over there. See, passed by naval sensors.
Mm-hmm.
This is an amphibian tractor. A few personnel on there.
Mm-hmm.
Another amphibian tractor. Me standing in the back of it.
Now, were you assigned one amphibian tractor, or
Yeah.
was there a whole fleet?
No, I had to take care of like 3, 4 of them. I was a mechanic on 3, 4 of them, but also I remember the crew while we make a landing.
Mm.
And this was on Guam, with a Japanese sword one of the guys got.
Okay.
This is on Guadalcanal. This is our outfit we had when I joined it.
Mm.
So it's just when I come home on leave, before I went overseas. Same way here, same thing. This was in Camp Lejeune,
Okay, now, Camp Lejeune, that's in
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay.
And this was a guy, the guy with me was from Meriden, Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember his name.
Now, were you grouped with people locally around you, or just all around the state you met different people?
Well, actually, everybody from this side of the Mississippi went to Camp Lejeune. The west of the Mississippi went to Camp Pendleton.
Okay, so different people from different states were there. And,
Yeah.
okay.
And this is when we had R&R, me and my buddy here in Hawaii. Of course, he passed on now, so he's not here no more. He lived in Seymour. That's about it. That's about it.
Now, were you grouped with people the same age as you, or
Yeah,
you know,
well-
were you had people older, younger?
I was pretty about the youngest one there, I think. Then they were maybe a little older. Some were even older. Some were up in 40 years old. You know, they're just
Mm.
18 and up. You know.
Now, since you were the youngest, did you get any different treatment, or did you have to do certain things other people?
No, you did everything everybody else did.
Oh yeah.
No treatment.
Okay.
And you know about going over the equator, right? When
Yeah.
you go over the equator, you have to go to a initiation.
Yeah.
You know about that, right? And we had to do that when we were going to New Caledonia.
Yeah.
Then they give you a little card saying you're a shellback.
All right.
And then when you go over the date line, you do the same thing too. You one day it's Easter, next day it's Easter again. You know.
Oh wow. Yeah. All right. Now, before we wrap up, you gave us also some documents here. Would you mind just explaining these?
Those are just these are just we belong to the Iwo Jima survivors, and they send us this book every 3, 4 months, you know, explaining what's going on and this and that, you know. And this is the same thing here. This is something to do with the flag raising on Iwo Jima. It's got historical things in there. This is the manifesto when we landed on Iwo Jima of our outfit with all our names in it. And this is the same thing here too, about it. Explain to you all about Iwo Jima and mostly like that. But Iwo Jima was an historical, you know.
Okay.
That's, you know, that's when they putting up the flag. Yeah.
Now,
We had our last reunion, I explained to you before, in Brantford, Connecticut, 65th anniversary of landing Iwo Jima. And we had that a little while ago. And that's gonna be the last one.
oh, okay.
There was only 49 left, I think.
Wow.
And they came from all around, you know, but there's more than that throughout the country,
Mm-hmm.
but from around this area.
Okay.
We We even had one up to 96 years old was there. So he's still good, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the good Marine Corps training. See, you survive long like me. I'm 86 now.
Yeah.
And you keep going. And being here too, you know, member of the Boys Club, you walk every day, keep in shape, you know.
Yeah. All right.
Another thing, don't smoke.
Oh yeah.
That's very bad.
Yeah.
I don't smoke.
Yeah.
I never smoke.
Now, talking about that, being a member of the Boys and Girls Club, do you have any, last statements, advice for the youth here?
All I can say to the youth is keep coming to the club, exercise. Don't be a wise guy, you know. Learn to respect the elders, you know, stuff like that, and you learn stuff.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
That's the whole trouble in this country right now. And it's supposed to start from the family. Like, you're supposed to start from your family. They should teach you. But now you go to school and the teacher touches you, you got a lawsuit. Right? When we went to school, you got three rulers over your hand, or the strap from the principal. You go home and tell your father you got it again.
Yeah.
Now they'll send a lawyer after you. You know, you can't do a thing. That's the whole trouble with this whole world.
Yeah, things are more lenient nowadays. Yeah.
That's my opinion. You know, maybe the kids don't believe in me, but I mean, that's what I think. You know?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, now, thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Right.
Appreciate interviewing you. Thank you for your service again on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club and the Keystone.
Nice to ask me.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm not the best talker there is, but I try my best.
Yeah. All right, now, hope you enjoy the rest of your Veterans Day.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Tonight at 5 o'clock on Channel 3, they're going to show when we went to Washington, and they're going to show segments of that because they took Channel 3 News was with us. And if you are watching the news at 5 o'clock, maybe you'll see me. You know.
All right. Yeah, we'll definitely check that out. Thanks for.
Yeah.